The best thing you can do, and it's the overriding principle for all the work I do, is become the man that you want to be. Go to the gym, do activities, get better at things, learn intellectual things, become somebody who's interesting, who's vibrant, who's doing the best with what they got. You don't have to be perfect, but just be someone who's got heart, right? All the movies that we love is when somebody's got heart, when they're going out there to challenge the world, to attack the world, but with heart, with sensitivity, with vulnerability. Not with brash and bluster, but with like humility and connection. Hey everyone, this is Adam once again with a new video for Wanderings. Today's video is called Why You Have No Friends and Men Hate You. I'm oftentimes perplexed by those type of guys that I meet out there in the world that just don't seem to have friends. They just don't seem to have the ability to connect to others. So today's video, we're going to ask, why is that? Is this fixable? Are men redeemable, men without friends? And how do men connect? How do men make friends? We're actually going to look at 3 case studies. We're going to look at 3 men, anonymous of course, who I have met over the years that just don't seem to understand how it works in a man's world, how to get along with people, how to make close bonds with other men. I think you're going to find today's video very interesting. So I want to remind you again, please like, subscribe, support my channel, make a comment. I appreciate it. And as again, you know, I'm a psychotherapist and coach. I'm available to meet you online or in person here in Toronto. All right, so without further ado, today's video is why you have no friends and men hate you. So as I spoke about before, there's this idea kind of going around. It first came into common nomenclature from the APA, American Psychological Association, about this concept called toxic masculinity. And though today's topic isn't specifically about that, I do want to relate to it in regard to this. There's this idea out there that men don't open themselves up to other people, that we live in lives of isolation with our feelings and aren't in touch with ourselves. But as someone who, thank God, has a lot of friends and has dealt with hundreds of clients, I can really see that it is just not true. There is a certain type of man which doesn't make friends easily or just doesn't have friends. And I'm going to explore those type of personalities today a little bit. But men do have friends. Society is sort of formed in a way, whether it's the workplace or whether it's culturally or in schools, where women are being more successful than they ever were in the past. And we don't see as many male teachers. We don't see as many male role models. Oftentimes, and we see that men are actually quite struggling out there. So it's become sort of the feminine ideal in the workplace and in school, and even at home has sort of become the standard, the norm. And women make friends differently than men. Men have friends, but it's in a different thing. Men tend to make friends around activities. We go out and do things together. We can go to a game, we'll play sports. Some people actually play games. Others just go for a hike or talk about politics, things that interest them. Though women like these things too, generally women are better at just sitting down with nothing else to do and connecting over that and just talking about things, talk about the experience. Now, these might sound like tropes, but I want to say is these actually have deep roots in our biology from all the thousands of years that we were developing as a human species. There's quite a basis for this in evolutionary psychology. Men build what we call dominance hierarchies. Jordan Peterson talks about this. We tend to see men and respect men based on how they relate to others and how competent they are. So the problem is that some men tend to lean towards just being competent and not actually knowing how to relate to others. We'll talk about that in case study number 3 today. But anyway, as people lived in tribes during the dawn of the human species, men generally went out and gathered resources. We worked on teams. We hunted, we fought, we brought back resources. Women were primarily responsible for childbearing and child rearing and the social cohesion of the tribe. Because of this, men tend to bond over the respect we have for other men. Does this guy have my back? Is this somebody I can trust? Is this somebody that I can work with and is competent out there in the field? Whereas women tended to be in the evolutionary years when people were developing, more focused on child rearing, the social cohesion, taking care of others, despite they may be sick, they may be old, they may be vulnerable. Whereas for men, we don't necessarily respect those as easily because it's not built into us, because we respect others who are peers who can go out there and do things. Now, this is just a very, broad stroke, about a broad brush stroke over how the differences in men and women's psyche. But this has a lot to do with how men connect. What they call toxic masculinity and healthier people call traditional masculinity is how we are built as people. Yes, things change over the years as far as social life and culture, etc. But nevertheless, it's built into us intrinsically. And we don't respect men who don't know how to get along with other men and who don't know how to be successful and competent, right? That's the way men work. We'll get into that later when we talk about the solutions. Anyway, in my practice, over the hundreds of clients that I've seen, I have found that despite what the APA and others call toxic masculinity, most men, I would say the majority of my clients that are men, because I see both men and women, are ones where they are very capable of talking about their feelings and vulnerabilities within the right, safe, connected environment with another dude that they trust. You see, men trying to impress women and impress other men isn't the right thing. But when somebody is in a situation where they trust somebody and they're connected to somebody, they are very open and vulnerable to talking about their problems. And there's a great help and relief with that. So sometimes women get mad at guys are going out with their boys and going and having a beer and going and doing man stuff or going to the man cave. This is how men connect. It is better for women, even though they might be resentful. Some wives might be resentful of this. It's better for women to let men do this, to go and connect to other men, unless, of course, you get into toxic activities such as addiction. But generally, most men in the proper activity with dudes they trust, they're not trying to impress guys that already have their back. They are very open to talking about and having friends. Now, in the last section of this class, I will speak about ways that if you don't have friends, how you can make more friends, like my suggestions. Because really what this comes down to, and the final question we'll answer at the end of this video is, are some men irredeemable? Are some men just incapable of making friends? And we're going to see, and we're going to answer we're going to first look at the 3 case studies, then we're going to talk about my solutions, and then we're going to apply the solutions to these 3 men and see if we have some advice for them. And at the end, answer the question, is it possible for every man to make friends, right? And what are the reasons why you're not making friends and that people hate you? As Drake says, imagine if I never met no broskies. Having friends, having dudes that you can share your life with is so important. It really is something that can get you through any circumstance. I am firmly of the school that you can't tell everything to the woman that you're with. You always have to have a level of respect in your male-female connections. But when it comes to your brothers, of course you have to have respect. But you have to have some dudes in your life who you can feel completely connected to. You can talk to them about anything, your problems, and it will just melt away. Sometimes when I'm going through something, I call some of my brothers and they're just there for me and we just talk and it's just cool. It's just not anything like this toxic masculinity thing that people talk about there. Sensitive, vulnerable, masculine all go together. It's weak that is a problem, when you're being weak. But having brothers is so important. It's like, it's the connection to a man's mental health. That's the honest truth. You can get through anything with brothers. And the things that in life that are the toughest, it's war, poverty, women problems, they're just so much easier when you got some brothers to rely on. So anyway, without further ado, here's my 3 case studies. Now, each one of these case studies, really, I'm specifically thinking of people that I met. I'm going to keep the details obviously obscure. I don't want to jab anybody or anything. But for me, it's easier when I can picture somebody and when I'm talking about them. Though for each one of these people, oftentimes there's somebody else who's similar. So let's talk about guy number 1. So I was thinking about guy number 1 recently because I went to a cultural event, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, and it was just a dudes. It was actually a sausage fest. Guys were hanging out, eating hamburgers, hot dogs, chilling, having some shots, just having a good time. Nothing crazy, just being dudes. And there was one guy there, decent looking guy, normal guy, sitting there just by himself, quiet the whole time. And at one point, he turned to me and said something to me like, "Hey, how are you doing with this? Are you enjoying yourself?" And I kind of I didn't mean to blow him off, but I was just like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, dude." And I kind of went off and talked to one of my more vibrant friends. And then later after the event, I actually thought about it and felt quite bad about it. And I'd seen this guy around before, and I realized he was trying to connect to me. The whole event, he would just sit there, quiet by himself, not talking to anybody. And I was thinking about this guy, and I generally felt compassion for the guy. I felt bad for the guy. He was a decent guy. I had talked to another friend about him later and said, "Yeah, this guy's like that. You know, you see him around, he doesn't really talk to anybody, he doesn't really connect." And I kind of wondered what the reasons are. And the main two reasons I came up with, and I think these are sort of universal. The first reason I came up with is maybe he has like a social disorder, like he's on the spectrum or something. And that's definitely possible. You know, you see these awkward guys, these like gamer guys, or they don't really know how to take care of themselves. And they just really don't know how to talk to people. They can't look you in the eye, you know. But I've met a lot of people on the spectrum who are relatively normal. Yeah, they have some social problems. So I'm not sure whether that was the problem, but that may have been one of the problems. The other thing is, which I think applies to all three case studies, is what I'd say insecurity. Some dudes grew up with really crappy parents. They were bullied, they were abused. Some guys were bullied by other people and they didn't stand up for themselves. Like I said, men tend to form dominance hierarchies. And if people are continually telling you you're a loser, you're useless, whether it's through their words or their actions, a person starts to believe this over time. Someone who may be very capable and potentially powerful in the world may just be pushed down so much over the years that they're just really insecure. And they're afraid of opening their mouths because they might feel that no one wants to hear what they have to say, or they're not smart, or they're useless, or just not cool, or good looking, or whatever it is. So I kind of suspect this guy there may have been a mixture of both things. So again, we'll talk about the solutions later, but that's guy number one, the quiet guy, kind of nerdy, doesn't really know how to talk to people, even other dudes without women around. So guy number two is really actually in a lot of ways the opposite. So there's a guy I know who's married, he's got a bunch of kids, successful guy, he's dynamic, you like talking to him. He's when you're with him, you feel like this guy's got it going on, he's exciting. I went to a an event that he had, there are a lot of dudes there. So I had hung out with this guy a number of times over the years, but very busy guy. And one time he said something to me very, very interesting, which was that he said, "Adam, you're my only friend." And that was really surprising because the guy's a smart guy, successful guy, got a lot going on for him. Like, for me, he should have lots of friends. I just don't see why. And I saw him with a bunch of dudes around him, you know, at different events and stuff. So, like, how could this dude not have any friends? But after talking about it and thinking about it, be perplexed for a while, I realized the reason why he doesn't have any friends is because he's arrogant. He thinks he's better than other people. You know, oftentimes when I send him one of my videos, like I send my videos to a lot of people, I'm sure it annoys a lot of you when you get my videos. But like this guy will like say, "Hey, I didn't listen to your video. I didn't watch your video," or "I watched 2 minutes of your video." It's like, okay, I know most people who I send my stuff to are busy people. They're not always going to watch everything that I do, though you should. Um, but like, why do you need to tell me that? You're basically telling me my busy is more important than you. He keeps telling me, "Oh, I would have called you back. I'm too busy. You know, I don't. I just got so much going on." And he's just telling me over and over again the message he's sending to me. And again, I'm his only friend. Is you're not important to me. You're not valuable to me. My time is more valuable and more important, right? And I kind of wonder whether this guy really, you know, I kind of wonder what's going on behind him. The truth is, I'm resentful about it. I'm resentful. I don't want to really talk to the guy over time, and I can see why he doesn't have a lot of friends. Is because, well, we'll get to that to the solutions. We'll get to solution number two. I think number two is redeemable, so we're going to get to the solution in a bit. Number three. Number three has to be one of the most troubling, problematic men that I've met in my life. Very successful on the outside, and really disturbing his behavior and the way he relates with men. He's really sort of a Machiavellian character. He's really somebody who's just, unfortunately, a very manipulative person. And he's a really sad character. So when I worked with this guy a number of years ago, I came into the job, and the weirdest thing was this guy was supposed to have some rank on me. but he was extremely insecure around me. It was like he started dressing like me, emulating me, constantly. Anything I would do, he would kind of justify why he didn't do that, and he would kind of start to do that. Like I wore this particular belt, he started wearing a belt like that. And it was like at the beginning, he really was just trying to appease me, kiss up to me, want to be like me. And I needed the position, so I went along with it, but I just felt uncomfortable. I didn't respect this guy. It was a guy I'm supposed to respect. You know, like they say in the army, you can't really follow. Like if you're in a special forces unit, you can't follow an officer who isn't also trained as a special forces officer. And this guy didn't have any of the confident qualities that I had. Yet I was supposed to work with him. It was just really weird guy. And after time, when he kind of realized, I guess he realized I didn't really respect him, or just because the men form dominance hierarchies. You can't really respect and put yourself in a position of power as someone who you feel you don't respect. You just don't. And it's like I oftentimes relate this. I have this in my friends video. I'll put that above. Like one way I would describe this in a military way is like I wouldn't trust this guy in the battlefield. I wouldn't trust him. I wouldn't trust this guy to have my back. He would change his opinions. He had a lack of integrity about everything that he would do. It would always be like changing it. Like for this person, he would say this. For this person, he would say this. With this person, he'd pretend he was a strong man. This person, he'd be the most liberal dude in the world. And it was like, I didn't know where he stood. Reminds me, here's a little scene from Band of Brothers where they talk about a leader, Sobel, who was kind of like this as well. Very talented, quality, confident leader to train the men. But when it came down to it, you just couldn't trust him. He just didn't understand men. This guy just didn't, he was too insecure. He didn't understand men.
Captain Sobel?
Major Winters?
Captain Sobel. We salute the rank, not the man.
So you see here by Sobel, they say here, you salute the rank, not the man. And that's really how I survived. I felt I was saluting his rank. Personally, as a man, I didn't see it that way. I didn't feel had any of the manly qualities that I respect, such as integrity, masculine presence, ability to connect to other men. And over the years, I realized something, that he really just didn't have any friends. He didn't have any friends. Like he connected with women. I think women saw him as a sort of like, a typical beta male type of guy you could connect to. He was successful at work because of that. Like he knew how to play the fields and stuff like that. However, he was resented by a lot of people at work because he would write these blistering emails, like screaming and yelling and abusing people just at the top of a hat. And personally, he would do that as well. Just have these screaming rants and extremely arrogant, talking about all the great things he had done in his life. I'd never seen anything as weird as this. On his email signature, this guy had literally 3 paragraphs about every single minor degree or certification or teaching thing that he had ever done. And it was like, I don't see how the guy couldn't see how insecure this came off. Sometimes we would interview candidates and he would spend the first 10 minutes of the interview talking about all his accomplishments. I remember one time him basically saying he was mad at this other professional. He said, well, I'm this and I'm that, and I'm this and I'm that. And it's like, the guy was so insecure. And the way you connect to men this is going to be one of the solutions, is by being equal to them, by being vulnerable, by being normal, by just connecting, not by making yourself better, not by bragging, not by being arrogant, right? Who you are is obvious when you enter a room by your presence, whether you're a confident man. It's just, there's really no other way to say it. And the way you connect to other men is by being equal and connected to them. Not on one hand kissing their ass, and the other hand talking about how great you are. And I'm the king.
I am the king. I will punish you.
Any man who must say, I am the king, is no true king.
No real king needs to say he's a king. It's just obvious. It's just obvious. So this guy was just really difficult to work with. And I wondered how lonely this man might be, this tyrant. This reminds me very much of what the top G Tate said. He said, everyone talks about these toxic masculine guys, all these strong masculine guys, they're such a danger. It's the opposite. It's these guys. It's these weak guys that are a danger. These guys who wield their power abusively to others. Guys who are small, guys who are not liked by women, guys who are not liked by men. They're going around hurting others with whatever little power they have. I know you've all encountered guys like this, right? Manipulators like this, right? These are the guys, the dangerous guys. The strong, successful, powerful men that women like and other dudes look up to, those are the guys that have it all. They're not dangerous. They've got great lives. If this job doesn't work out, that job will work out. If this lady doesn't work out, that lady will work out. It's these guys who are really small, but their egos are huge. These guys go around trampling and destroying anyone in their way. And if you meet a guy like this, if you work with a guy like this, stay far away. Is he redeemable? Let's answer that in section number 3, the solutions. Okay, wow. After all that, let's talk about some hope here. Let's get to some hope. Because I do believe, at least for 2 of these characters, there is hope. There is hope that things can get better. What ways can we as men connect to other men? Can we make friends? The number one thing is being real, right? Being real, right? Don't go out there on the first time you meet somebody, talk about your problems. But after you connect to somebody, be vulnerable, be real, listen to them. Connect to people on a level of equalness. Number 2, listen and care about other people, right? If you're feeling insecure, if you're feeling like you can't talk to people about your stuff, everybody likes to be heard, whether it's for a guy friend or whether it's for a date with a lady. Listen to other people, connect to them and care about what they're into. Give of yourself to others. Truly give of yourself, whether it's your time, your money, your space, whatever. It's interesting. The Hebrew word for friend, reah, is the same root as ra, bad. Because sometimes you have to give of yourself when it's bad for yourself. Sometimes you have to, take one for the team. Sometimes you have to laugh at yourself. Sometimes you have to give of your own money. Tonight I'm paying for drinks, right? It's not a giver. It's not a give thing. It's a give and take. But you got to be chill about it, right? You got to be like the kind of guy who'll go and buy drinks for everyone, not as a suck up, but like the guy next time you'll say, next time you get me back, right? But you're not strict about it. You're just cool, right? You give of yourself. Number 3, activities. As we said in the beginning of the video, dudes connect over activities, over things to do. So if you want to make friends, you don't just make friends. Activities make friends with guys. Go hiking, go play sports, get into whatever nerdy hobbies that you're into. Whatever it is, go out there and do things where other guys are. Go to a religious event, go to a social event. Go there and just connect, listen to people, right? This is, of course, with people who have relatively some level of social skills. I believe that generally, gift of gab is a gift. As we said, it's something that people are born with. That doesn't mean that you can't apply these skills to connect to others. The next one is don't be arrogant. Don't brag. Don't talk about yourself and your accomplishments. As we like to say, demonstrate. Don't explicate. Don't go in there and talk about all the great things you've done, all the conquests you've had, and how much money you have. It's like who you are is obvious when you look at you. The way you stand, the way you dress, the way you talk, the way when you enter a room. That is who a man is, right? You don't need to talk about yourself. Nobody who has anything good talks about it, right? That's weak. It's weak sauce, whether it's with women or other men. Don't talk about your accomplishments. Don't write down all your accomplishments. You are the accomplishment. Your game, your presence, your abundance, that is the accomplishment. Definitely don't act like this jackass. I'm the king. You're not anything, dude. You can have all these accomplishments in the world, but if you don't connect to people, if you don't have friends, if people don't respect you, you have nothing. That's the reality. Success is in many things. It's not just money and accomplishments on paper. It's friends, it's family, it's self-esteem, right? So that's the next one, is self-esteem. The best thing you can do, and it's the overriding principle for all the work I do, is become the man that you want to be. Go to the gym, do activities, get better at things, learn intellectual things, become somebody who's interesting, who's vibrant, who's doing the best with what they got. You don't have to be perfect, but just be someone who's got heart, right? All the movies that we love is when somebody's got heart, when they're going out there to challenge the world, to attack the world, but with heart, with sensitivity, with vulnerability. Not with brash and bluster, but with like humility and connection, right? But go out there and improve yourself. Don't be arrogant. Be happy, be connected, right? Care about others. Give of yourself, right? Give to others, whether it's gifts of money, friendship, whatever, but in a cool, normal way, not in a needy way. Up your game. That's what it's all about. So I want to tell you guys a Jewish story. A story about somebody named the Seer of Lublin, or the Chose was another name for him. He was a great leader. He had thousands, if not tens of thousands of followers in his group that followed him, listened to him. He was the biggest Rebbe, the biggest influencer of his time. One day, someone came up to him, someone we call a snag or an opponent. He didn't really like the religious philosophy of this Rebbe, the Choza. So he came up to me and said, you know, Choza, I see that you have lots of followers, but you know what? You're a total fake. You're not real. You're not this person people claim you are. Anyone can see that. And the Choza, he was a humble man. So he said, you know something? You're right. What can I do about that? He said, next Saturday, when you have all of your followers there, I want you to say, I'm giving up my position. I'm not the Rebbe anymore. I'm going to let it go because I'm a charlatan. I don't know anything. I have no powers, skills. I'm nothing special. So please, everybody go away. The Choza thought about this a little bit, and he said, okay, you're right. I can't live like this lie anymore. I'm going to do this. So the next Saturday, he went in front of everybody, and he says, everybody, thank you so much for being here. It's so nice to see you guys as always. But I want you to know, you guys should all go. I'm not who you think I am. I'm a fake. I'm a charlatan. I'm nothing special. So please don't come back here anymore. Everybody was shocked. Everybody looked around. And then the Choza turned around and left. Anyway, next Saturday, the Sabbath, he was there, and it was empty in his synagogue. And then suddenly, one person came in, two people came in, 5, 10, 100. The whole place filled up. People were bursting from the seams, inside, outside. Because of his humility, because of his honest vulnerability and connection to others, he attracted twice and 3 times as many people. Now, I don't like to give morals of Hasidic stories, but the moral is obvious, right? Humility, connection, care for others, that's how you attract friends. Yes, be confident. Go out there and become an alpha male. Work out, make money, do cool things. But you also got to be real and connect to others at their level. So going back to our 3 cases, what are the solutions for our case studies? Number 1, the guy who's just sort of doesn't know how to connect to people. Well, he may have a social disorder, but I think he's also just insecure. So I recommend the solution of working on yourself, going out there and connecting to others. Guys do want to connect to everyone. You know, not everyone's super cool. There are other, nerdy type people you can hang out with or whatever. Just go there and connect. Listen to people. If you don't feel confident talking, have a beer or something. And if you don't feel confident talking, listen to others. Ask them about their problems, about their lives. That is what makes people interested in you. Like as I said with this guy, I felt bad afterwards because I realized he had asked me about myself and I just went on and sort of ignored him. But that's why I thought about him afterwards. And I still have a desire to connect with this guy next time I see him. It's because he cared. Very few people ask others, how are you? Right? Here, as we've seen the scene in American Beauty.
How are you?
God, it's been a long time since anybody asked me that.
Wow, it's been a long time since somebody asked me how I am. Guy number 2, the super successful guy who doesn't have any friends. Also, bro, your busy isn't more important than other people. Yes, your arrogance gets you far as success, but it doesn't get you far as being able to connect to other dudes. I have a lot of friends who've got a lot of kids, who've got family lives, and yeah, they are busier. Generally, they are busy, but they're busy. They will still get back to you. They will still connect to you. They will still reach out to you at the right times. And when you do connect to them, they give you of their time and their fullness, right? They don't give you a 2-second phone call, a 30-second phone call on the run between the grocery store and to pick up your kids. They generally give of themselves when they're there, and they're not arrogant. They don't say things like, oh yeah, I didn't listen to your video. Oh yeah. Yeah, of course, a lot of people don't listen to your stuff, but you gotta pretend that you did, right? Care about other people's needs first. Number 3, I don't know what to say about this guy. Honestly, I have met other people in their lives who have gotten better over the years, right? It's this duality of being too vulnerable, too weak, and being this arrogant tyrant. I don't know what to do. I have seen some of these guys get better over years, but I think the first thing is strip yourselves of all your arrogance, of all your titles. Just be normal and use the traits which you have to listen to others, to care about others' needs. Stop being so insecure. You must have had a very difficult life to have his self feelings where he has really nothing to stand for. He has no essence, no core, no masculine core, right? You just can't respect this guy. And I guess I would say go and get that help and try to get into those traumas that probably informed you as a person, that made you so small, made you such a tyrant because of that. You got to work on yourself, bro. You got to get that help. Anyway, here's the solutions that I gave you. This is how you make friends. Be cool, be vulnerable, work on yourself, go do activities, become the best man you can be, care about others, be willing to put out your own for others. I hope you guys learned something today. I hope you guys learn about how men connect, how men make friends, and how you can make friends in the future. This is Adam Law with Wanderings. Please like, please subscribe. Of course, I'm available for psychotherapy and coaching. This is actually what I love to do. I love to work with guys who are having these difficulties in their lives and coach them to get through their problems, because I've been there. I got out. I can help you too, man or woman. I don't discriminate. Love you guys all. Please reach out to me. Take care. This is Adam Law with Wanderings. Have a great day.